shadows in the night. I hear the sound of distant crying, the darkness multiplying, and weary hearts deny. All I hear are the voices telling me to go, but I can never run. My anchor of dreams, there's a new tomorrow.
No, I don't want it to end, but of course we have to, because we are going to have a conversation with someone who needs very little introduction to all of us. Now, after years in the music industry, a South African musician, Vicky Sampson, continues to make the African dream a reality. In 1994, as you all may remember, Sampson recorded her award-winning album, Zai, and with her first single, African Dream, becoming a global hit, and I still feel the goosebumps. It's just such an iconic song. And the song, of course, was performed at the 1996 African Cup of Nations soccer tournament that was held here in Johannesburg. And since then, of course, it has become a South African symbol of unity. And that song was also recorded during the 1995 Rugby World Cup that was held here in South Africa. And here we are, years later, and we are again showing our national pride and unity as part of Bok Fridays in support of the Springboks Rugby World Cup tournament. And of course, as Morning Live, we're on the road again with Isuzu to do this this time around. But Vicky Sampson joins us now to talk more about her musical journey and, of course, origins of the song African Dream. Vicky, what a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Sakina. Thank you so very much. What an honor it is always to serve our nation, and what a better way to do it than through the genre of music and art. So thank you for having me this morning. And I'm proudly wearing my Bok jersey this morning, as you can see, my Bokke.
Yeah. Listen, we are on the road. We are on that journey with the boys. You know, Vicky, it's just listening to that song, it really takes one back. But it's amazing the emotion that it invokes in one. So listening to that now, watching that, you know, does it do the same to you as it does to me and I suppose others?
You know, absolutely. You know, Sakina, now, nearly 3 decades down the line of the first original recording and the video and everything of African Dream, it continues to just inspire me even more. And I think I understand the depth of that song and the meaning so much better than I did in 1995 when it was first released. And the message remains the same, and even now, more so than ever, Sakina.
Indeed it does. But Vicky, you know, there's also an opportunity for us to, you know, reach in and get to know Vicky a little better. So your music career, you say it began in 1982 when you entered and, no surprise, won a talent contest in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town. Talk to us about that.
Yes. Oh man, I was 15 years old, and I remember there was 2 girls. There were 2 of us. Another wonderful singer called Carol Lee, and she was the runner-up. And my first prize, Sakina, was a lamb, and they gave me a whole lamb because it took place at Mitchell's Plain Town Centre. But it was my first step into what would then later become my life. Music, and you know, I then entered Follow That Star in 1982 as well, and then I was chosen as a finalist in the overall competition at the end of that year, where the Soft Shoes won, and I featured in their overall summer special, which was a very major event for me. That was a breakthrough moment for me on national television, on SABC for the first time. Yeah.
Oh, man. And, you know, you also have a background in musical theatre. You then went on to share the stage with greats like Al Jarreau, Randy Crawford, George Benson in the early 90s, yourself a great, of course. And, as a South African musician, how much pride did that bring, for you to represent your country?
Sakina, on a more sobering note, for me, those were all such incredible highlights. I even opened for Joe Cocker in '93. And I always had a feeling, and then, of course, there was Peebo Bryson who came. And my heart was a little sore because at the time I spoke to the record label and I said, guys, this is an opportunity for me to actually perform either A Whole New World or Beauty and the Beast with Peebo. And they brought an American and a British singer to come and accompany in the songs. And I remember standing in the wings at Sun City and thinking, I missed this opportunity. I wanted to sing the song with this man. And so subsequently over the years, as much as we still on a journey as South Africans to be patriotically proud of our Africanness, and I always knew in my heart that I'm an African and I represent this country and our industry and everything. But there were certain moments in my career where I believe had the people around me and behind me taken and made some better decisions, that the journey could have been a lot easier than it was. But needless to say, those are all now, it's for me all great experiences and things that built me as a performer and shaped my vision and my purpose to become even more determined to use my music and my art to inspire our nation, to talk about what makes us great and to remind us about what makes us great. So I have a couple of projects that I'm busy with at this point in time towards that very end.
Vicky, tell us about that, because for me, if you only sang African Dream for the rest of your life, I'd be happy. But, of course, there's more.
Yeah, no, thank you. The African Dream is there. It's going to continue to be there. It's just one of those songs. I'm actually waiting for a very exciting happening with African Dream specifically. It's supposed to be remixed. And I'm going to mention his name because maybe if he's hearing, he can take up the call now, by Black Coffee. Black Coffee is supposed to remix my African Dream. And this was a process that began 2 years ago. So I don't think the timing couldn't be better for a remix of that song by our very own iconic Black Coffee. But also subsequently, I'm busy with a group of fellow my peers. Our name is the Vukani Mavericks. And we have a very beautiful declaration as the Mavericks, because Maverick is someone who goes out there and creates and finds their own way and learns from past experiences to actually trust your instincts and what is right. And our nation needs more forward-thinking people in that way, people who have walked a walk, who have seen and found solutions in their own way with very little resources to no resources, but they still continue to make this country great every day of the week, and these are the backbone of our nation. The workers, specifically I'm speaking about now. For a time I was president for 5 years of TUMSA, the Trade Union for Musicians of South Africa, and through our work and engaging with government and with all the other entities that exist in the music industry, we found ways and solutions to shortcut the shortages that we've had as a creative industry and which are still continuing to bug us. And part of that problem is that we are not getting enough investment from the private sector at times or from government. The steps and the red tape that still exists in order to fast forward us to where we need to go as an economy, creatively and musically, a strong brand that the whole world wants to see. These are the things that we're busy focusing on now with Vukani Mavericks. Our website is www.vukani.africa, and it's myself and 3 other awesome people that are covering the spectrum of sport, education, agriculture, and where I will be heading up the actual arts and education creative sector of Vukani Mavericks. So that is something. And then on a more personal note, I'm busy with a beautiful production, which is our own production. It's called Victorious, the voice behind the nation. And that is based on my journey throughout the history of the song of my African Dream. And just as a reminder, God willing, this production will be ready by 2024. It's on paper at this point. We need funding for it. I'm going to put it out there. We need interest from government. We need interest from the private business sector, because this is an experience that I've lived for nearly 3 decades, or more, 4 decades in the music industry, as a performer that is very strongly and proudly South African and African. And time to bring our nation back and remind us of the greatness of our continent, of our people, down the history, through the centuries, all the lies that have been told about us as a nation and this dark continent that needs to now, the light has come to Africa. This is our time. And this is what Victorious, the voice behind the nation, is going to project. And it will be featuring the South African Youth Choir, whom I have very strong ties with and just love them. So that is something that I'm very excited for 2024, 2025. Sakina.
Well, Vicky, can't wait for it, looking forward to it, and just stoked to have, had an opportunity to catch up with you this morning. Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best. Vicky Sampson, and I almost said ladies and gentlemen, because it feels like that sort of occasion. That was Vicky Sampson, South African musician, talking to us about her musical journey and how her hit song, African Dream, came about.